I'm going to be brutally honest with you. You're currently being overlooked for promotions and offered way less than you deserve because of the way that your controlling parents raised you. Now, I've seen this exact dynamic of controlling parent and quiet child hundreds of times, and let me tell you that until you uncover how they psychologically wired you, you will always be that quiet one who people really like but never choose. So today, I'm going to show you exactly how you've been wired to sabotage your career growth and how to finally be recognized for your worth. Now, the first and most important thing that you need to understand is just how psychologically damaging it is to grow up with controlling parents. Now, most people cannot even wrap their heads around it. They think it's just about having a strict parent with tons of rules and punishment. But the damage actually comes from something so much deeper than that. When your parents force you to listen to them, tell you that they know what's best for you, tell you that you don't know how to do things right, they are injecting a toxic worldview into your subconscious. That the world is split into hierarchy, those who know and those who don't. And you're someone who doesn't know, who isn't capable and just needs to listen. That is your place in the world, while they are on the side of the people that do know. They are to be listened to, obeyed, because they know best. And how do you know? What are the signs that this hierarchical worldview is actively running in the back of your mind and destroying your professional life? It will feel like you're constantly walking on eggshells, waiting for someone to discover that you don't actually belong where you are. There's this persistent anxiety in your chest that never really goes away, like you're always just one mistake away from being exposed as incompetent. You find yourself over-explaining simple decisions, apologizing for things that aren't your fault, and even asking for permission when you should just be taking action. And when someone compliments your work, instead of feeling proud, you feel anxious, like they're going to realize that they made a mistake and going to take it back. Now, the worst part is when you watch your colleagues just speak up confidently in meetings and you think to yourself, my gosh, I could never do that. And you don't even know why. It's not that you lack the skills or the knowledge, but the most heartbreaking thing is that even your biggest ambitions, the roles that you're secretly dreaming about, the positions that you think might be realistic for someone like you, they're so far below what you're actually capable of achieving. You've internalized such a small version of yourself that even your dreams have been downsized. But why is this worldview so hard to break, even if you've moved out and you don't even live with your parents anymore? Even when you have all the evidence in the world that this worldview is just flat out wrong. For that, you need to understand why your parents instill this belief in you. Now, in my experience, there are two types of controlling parents. The first one is the parent that reminds you that they want what's best for you and they know what is best for you. They're often driven by their own unhealed trauma. Maybe they grew up in an awful environment or they went through intense hardship and they see themselves as someone who's protecting you because you don't know what it's like. Now, these parents have not resolved any of their trauma and are driven by fear to let you know that they know best. Now, the second parent is the parent that reminds you that you are broken, that you can't do anything right. Now, this parent is often driven by their own narcissistic psychology. They figured out that by putting themselves first, controlling everything, and putting others in their place beneath them, actually works in their favor. Now, the second parent is the parent that reminds you that you are broken and you can't do anything right. Now, this parent is often driven by their own narcissistic psychology. They figured out that by putting themselves first, controlling everything, and putting other people in their place, which is beneath them, it actually works in their favor. No one dares to call them out, so they continue instilling fear in other people. So the first trauma-driven parent thinks that you don't know any better. They primarily reinforce their position at the top of the hierarchy as the all-knowing person who knows what's best for you. And the second narcissism-driven parent thinks that you don't know anything at all. They primarily reinforce your position on the bottom as someone who is broken and can't do anything right. But here's the most vicious part of this dynamic. Both parents need you to believe this hierarchy. Because if you try to say that you are not at the bottom, that you're independent, you know what's best for you, you are threatening their perceived position at the top of this hierarchy. And for the first parent, you'll force them to confront their identity as the all-knowing person who's earned their place through hardship. For the second parent, you're threatening their narcissistic dominance entirely. So in short, it means that controlling parents are extremely dependent on your weakness. They need you to be the weak one, the one that doesn't know. They need you to validate their place in the hierarchy. And that's why it's so hard to break out of this worldview, even if you've moved out. Because from birth, they made it part of your identity to be at the bottom of their hierarchy. And every time you talk to them on the phone, they're reinforcing that identity, which is why you get so stressed out by the time you hang up. So you end up carrying that same identity to every other aspect of your life. And you know what happens when you bring it to your professional life? Okay, imagine two TV salesmen, each selling you the same TV. Okay, it's a good TV, it's got great visuals. Now the first salesman goes, yeah, it's a good TV. I mean, some people prefer others, but there's even better ones out there. But this it's not bad. It works well, but sometimes things can break. I mean, this one hasn't broken, but sometimes these things do actually happen. But yeah, overall good TV. Now the second salesman goes, oh yeah, this is a great TV. Visuals are great. I'm sure you can see it yourself. It's good quality. Haven't had any problems with it. But, if there's any issues, you can reach right back out to me and we'll work something out. Now, which salesman are you going to buy from? Obviously the second one, right? Because he's reassuring, he's confident, and he sounds like he just believes in the product and confident that he can handle anything if it goes wrong. Now, when you carry that hierarchical worldview, you are like that first salesman. Every time you talk, the way you present yourself, the words you use, everything signals to your boss that you're not sure if you're capable. You're apologetic, you undermine yourself, you barely speak up, and despite doing good work, you don't actually believe in yourself. You're training your boss to undervalue you even without realizing it. Because being promoted, given a higher salary or a leadership position, isn't simply about competence. It's about someone asking, hey, can I trust you to manage all of this so that when things go wrong, I know you'll be ahead of it? Are you able to genuinely observe your teammates and communicate to them in a way that they are receptive to? Are you able to anticipate their needs? Speak out if you think something's wrong? Can you lead the ship? That's what gets you promoted. That's what gets you the compensation that you ask for, the responsibility that you ask for. Because when you place yourself at the bottom of the hierarchy, all you're saying is, I'll do as I'm told, I'll do a good job at it, I won't cause any problems, and I won't rock the boat. And most of your mind isn't spent on understanding how your teammates operate. It's preoccupied with making sure that you're not upsetting them and analyzing every situation as more proof that once again, you are at the bottom. And let me tell you, bosses don't want to promote people who think that they're at the bottom of the hierarchy. In fact, most healthy bosses don't even want people who think they're at the top of the hierarchy. They want someone who doesn't even see the world as a hierarchy at all. It's about seeing yourself as part of a team, not above it and not beneath it. So how do you actually break out of this toxic psychological wiring and stop teaching people to overlook you? Now, the most important thing that you need to realize is that this requires an identity shift. That's why all of these confidence tips and assertive communication tactics just don't ever stick. You can't change your behavior. You need to completely rewire all the parts of you that exist to reinforce your position at the bottom and regulate your parents. Now, this requires going deep into your personality to see which parts of you are still operating from this hierarchy programming. You need to understand how being positioned at the bottom affects everything, your worldview, your decision-making, even how you interpret what people say to you. I cannot explain to you how many times this programming will make you analyze painful situations as a fault on your end rather than seeing it as someone else's failure. And here's what's going to blow your mind. So many things that you think are just part of your personality are actually just reinforcing that you don't matter. The way you apologize, how you phrase requests, even the way you share your wins, it's all designed to keep you small. You also need to understand your parents' psychology so you can finally protect yourself from their ongoing influence, because every single time you talk to them, they're still trying to put you back in that bottom position. And it's not just with your parents. You also need to learn how to analyze how other people operate, uncover their communication style, what drives their behavior, and identify when they're undermining you. And this is such a crucial part of being trusted professionally, because when you're able to see others, you know how to lead them naturally. Now, this is exactly what I do with my clients. I work one-on-one with people to completely uncover and uproot their trauma-based personality. We figure out who you actually are underneath all of that programming. You'll learn to see people clearly, set boundaries without feeling guilty, and most importantly, you start to actually believe that you are capable. Now, my clients go from being the quiet one who always gets overlooked to speaking up in meetings, asking for what they deserve, getting promoted, and finally being seen and compensated for who they really are. not because they learned some tricks, but because they've completely shifted their identity. So if you're done being undervalued and you're ready to show up as the person that you actually are, I would love to help you. There's a link below to book a call with me, and we'll figure out exactly how this programming is showing up in your life and how to break free from it, because you don't have to stay stuck in this forever. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.